All right, so this is chapter 2a, day 11, adding and subtracting matrices. We're going to be taking the integer skills that you've been practicing them and apply them to something new. All right, so matrix labels. Number one, let's talk about geography. What is the geography of a matrix? So come over here on the side, and we're going to draw ourselves a matrix. A matrix has brackets, and then it has rows and columns of numbers. So -2, 5, 5, 2, 6, 7, and then another bracket. So write that down. So that is a matrix. It's rows of numbers, columns of numbers in a bracket form. Now, to keep track of matrices, we track rows and columns. So rows, this top one we would call row 1. The next one down would be row 2. And then we also refer to them by their columns. And the columns go left to right. So -2 over 5 is column 1. 5 over 2 is 2. 6 over 7 is 3. We refer to a single number in the matrix, like 7, for example, as an entry. So that is entry 7. Okay, so that's like our general geography, what a matrix looks like, what it's called. Okay, number 2. When we name a matrix, we name it by what's called M by N notation. And that little X in there, is a by symbol. It's not an X. It means M by N. And when we do M by N notation, the first number, which is the M, refers to the number of rows in the matrix. And the N refers to the number of columns in the matrix. So it's rows by columns. So for example, if we look at the matrix that you've drawn, this one right here, if we had to name it, we would count the rows, 1, 2, 2 rows by, and then we would count the columns, 1, 2, 3 columns. So that is called a 2 by 3, a 2 by 3. All right, number 3. We also name with letters. So we name by dimensions and we name with letters. And when you are talking about a matrix, the name is capitalized. And technically it's in italics. We don't worry too much about the italics part when we're handwriting, but they are referred to by an italicized letter. So, for example, matrix A would have an A equals, and then, equals, and then a bracket. And we're going to write 2, -3, 4, and 6. So we would call this matrix A. And if we wanted to name it using M by N, we would say there's only one row of numbers, so 1 would come first, by, and then if you count the columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, it has 4 columns, so named by dimensions, it's a 1 by 4. Yes?
How is this useful?
Let's talk about that later after we get through the notes and we talk about applications. So number 4. All right, name a specific entry. Okay, so when you name a specific entry, you use a lowercase of the letter name. And we refer to that usually as a lowercase a. And in the subscript, not the superscript, the subscript of it, you have a number I, which comes first, and that refers to the row number of the entry you're talking about. Then there's a comma typically, and then a entry called J, and J is the column number that you find it in. So this notation lets you talk about a specific entry given its placement. So for example, let's say that you want to describe the location of 4 in that matrix that we just drew. So you would use a lowercase a, and 4 is in row 1, so subscript 1, comma, and 4 is in the third row, 1, 2, 3, it's the third row, so it would be a sub 1, comma 3. And that would tell you where the 4 is. So that's how you talk about where things are, is the row, comma, the column. All right, so Roman numeral 2. Adding matrices. All right, when you add matrices, not all of them can be added. Some of them it's not possible. So when you add matrices, the M by N notation for them must match exactly. If they have different numbers of rows or columns, you would answer it's not possible to add them, or capital N, capital P is an official abbreviation for not possible. So if M by N doesn't match up, it is not possible to add. Now, if M by N matches, you're ready to add, and you add what we call like positions. You add like positions. All right, so we're gonna do an example. In our first one, I'll give you the columns. It's -4/3, and then it's 8/7, bracket, plus, now we're gonna do the second one. I'll give you the columns. It's 1/-5, 0/2. So this is what you would see on the worksheet. Now, you do not have to recopy the matrices to do the addition. You can instead show the calculation matrix. So that's on your worksheet. And on your work, you're going to have what's called the calculation matrix and the answer matrix. So that's all you're going to show as your work. Okay, so the calculation matrix lines things up. This is where I'm going to use those highlighters. Okay. You line up matching positions. So -4 and 1 are going to get added in the same position. So it would be -4 plus 1. Okay, going to the right, you have an 8 and a 0. So you're going to add those up. So 8 plus 0. I usually do the first row before I put my ending bracket on, so otherwise I don't make it big enough. Okay, now we're in the second row, first column, 3 and -5, those go here. 3 plus a -5. And then the last one, bottom right, 7 and 2. It's going to be 7 plus 2. This is called your calculation matrix. It's the one where you put the numbers together, but you haven't actually finished calculating. So you're going to show this step, and then now we actually do the math. So -4 plus 1 is -3. Down below, a positive times a negative is a negative. 3 minus 5 is -2. Now the second column, 8 plus 0 is 8. 7 plus 2, or should be, yeah, 7 plus 2 is a 9. That is your answer matrix. So these are the two things you need to do to show your work. Calculation matrix and the answer matrix. All right, Roman number 3. Roman numeral 3. Subtracting matrices. All right, subtracting matrices is very similar to adding, except you do one pre-step. And the pre-step is you're going to distribute the negative, which is also the subtraction symbol, distribute the negative to all entries. And this is a multiplication operation. So you're going to multiply everything by the negative, which will change all the signs. And then you're going to change the problem to addition. All right, so here's our example. The first one, I'll read you the columns. -1 over 4. In the middle, 2 over 1. On the side, 0 over 10. Minus, new bracket, 3 over 0. 2 over 8. -4 over -16. All right, so that's what your worksheet has, is subtraction. So your first step is you're going to multiply everything by the negative. So recopy this first matrix, -1 over 4, 2 over 1, 0 over 10. We're going to change this to addition. And you're going to multiply every number in the second matrix by a negative. So here we go. A negative times a positive is a -3 over negative times 0 is just 0. 0 doesn't have a sign. Now the middle, negative times a positive is a -2. Down below, a negative times a positive is a -8. On the right, a negative times a negative is a +4. A negative times a negative is a +16. So that's the first thing you do, is distribute that negative. And again, the operation is multiplication. Okay, so now this becomes just like addition. You're going to put together matching positions. So this is addition, which means none of these will change. So you don't have to use double signs. You can just put what signs are here. So we have -1 minus 3. Now go down, 4 plus 0. Now the middle, 2 minus 2. Go down, 1 minus 8. Now the side, 0 plus 4. And 10 plus 16. Okay, so now that's our calculation matrix. Now we just do our answer. -1 minus 3 is -4. 4 plus 0 is 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 8 is -7. 0 plus 4 is 4. 10 plus 16 is 26. And you are done. So again, do not recopy the problem. That's the work you need to show, but don't recopy the whole problem. Just rewrite it as addition and change the negatives. All right, now questions about matrices.